Brand new in ThinkCrew 2.1 is progress reports. And these are not just the regular progress reports you're used to calling in every day. This is a tool that's going to allow you to keep your crew up to date no matter where they are. Let me show you. So a progress report is really just a series of events and times that we'll call into a production office in US productions. This could be anything from our first shot of the day to when we go to lunch to what time we wrap. And the production office in turn will then let studios or a bond company or producers know what we're doing so that they are informed. But a progress report in ThinkCrew is actually much more powerful than that because it allows you to not only do that, but also to notify your entire crew about what you're shooting and when you're shooting it. Because your crew isn't necessarily all on set. Some of them are going to be in base camp, some of them are going to be offset, some of them could be in transit in between. And with ThinkCrew progress reports, now you have an ability to let all of them know what you're doing when you're doing it. Let me show you how. So to create our first progress report, we're going to make sure that we've navigated to the progress reports item right here in the sidebar menu. And then all we need to do is click new. ThinkCrew is going to ask us to drill down through some of our data so that it can identify which board to create the progress reports from. So we'll start by selecting a schedule. I'm going to select my second draft right here. Then inside of that schedule, I'm going to select a scenario. I'm going to select my first pass. Then inside that scenario, I'm going to select a particular board. And for this example, let's select the first unit. There are a handful of visualizations we can use. For the time being, I'm just going to leave this as strip, and we're going to come back to visualizations in a little bit. So I click create, and it's going to create our progress report. And let's review what we're looking at, because there's actually a lot of information being presented here. At the top in the header, we can see a date, and we can navigate these dates here by moving the arrows to the left or right and see different days of our shoot. Beneath that is all the information that we just selected so that at a glance we can see exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at the second draft of the schedule, the first pass scenario, and the first unit board. And then there's a drop down for the different visualizations. Beneath the header is all of the data that applies to all of the choices that we made up here in the header. So for instance, in the visualization strip, these are all of the strips that occur on this date in this board. And if I change the date, I'm going to see different strips for that day. Now the strips themselves look pretty traditional over here on the left-hand portion, but on the right there's actually a couple different tools. We can denote the status of a particular scene. Right now it has no status, but if I click on it, I'm going to see that I've changed it to part, meaning that it is partially shot. Or if I click it again, it's going to say shooting, meaning that this is the scene we're currently shooting. And if I click the done checkbox, that denotes that the scene is totally complete and the status gets replaced with a time. And that was the current time when I clicked this checkbox right here. If I click that by mistake and I want to turn that off, I can just turn it off and it goes back to showing the status of the scene. If I want to set that status again to none, I just click it again. It sort of toggles through them in rotation. I can also edit the time. So let's say I click this checkbox, but let's say we finished this scene like 10 minutes before. I can just change the time here to 48, hit enter, and now it's 15:48. In the footer of this section, you can see that there's a page count for the total pages for that day, and then a page count for the scenes that have been completed. So as I click more scenes here and have them be completed, you can see that page count goes up or down depending on what's checked. And then beneath that, this bottom section here is the traditional progress report. So here's where we can add in different times for different events that occur during our shoot day. Call, first shot, the beginning of lunch, the end of lunch, the first shot after lunch, and wrap. To enter times, all I have to do is just click right here and I can just enter some times. There's also a button right here that puts in the current time. So if the first shot has just occurred, I can click the button right here and it'll put in the current time. And if I ever need to edit any of these items here, for instance, let's say this day has gone long and we're going to do a second meal, then I can just click the edit button here and I can change or add or remove any of these label items. So if I want to add a second meal, I can just change this to second meal start. Then I can add another label, second meal end, and then add another label, wrap. Next to each one of these are drop-downs for the event type. This doesn't directly affect what's going to appear on screen, but it helps ThinkCrew identify what the value of this data is, because of course the label could be anything. So in our case, we're going to say this one is meal start, this one is meal end, and this last one here is a wrap. And now that we're done editing, we can just click done and keep filling in times as the events happen. Now, of course, strips are a fairly traditional way to represent what's happening in your day. But this tool includes different visualizations for that data. For instance, ThinkCrew includes a strip duration view. This view is traditional strips, but the height of the strip denotes the estimated duration of each scene. So scene 108 is estimated to take an hour 30 minutes. This one's estimated to take 2 hours. This one is a very big scene. It's estimated to take 6 hours. So within a 12-hour day here, I can get a general sense of, wow, scene 129, this is the big meat of the day. And these other scenes, just at a glance, I can see are smaller and probably easier to shoot. These heights are based on the duration that you enter in your breakdown. If you don't have any durations, they'll just default to a normal traditional height like you would find in the strips here. But by adding the durations, we can get a different sense of what each one of these days is going to look like as we're shooting it. And another way to visualize those durations is just with the circle chart. So this is all of the same information. These are all of the same scenes here. And as we hover over them, you can see the different strips appear. And the estimated durations of each one of these scenes is listed. So the first scene, scene 158, is estimated to take an hour 30. The next one is 2 hours and a half, 2:45, and so on. And the last visualization is an overview of your entire board. So all of these numbers here are the scene numbers for the different scenes that are on this board. And as each one of these items is completed, you can check it off, and now you know which scenes are completed at a glance. And of course, all of these visualizations are sharing the same data with your board. So if I go back to the strips here and go back to day 1, I can see that these 3 have been checked off as being complete because I checked them here in the waffle board. And the same thing applies for the different visualizations as well. If I go back to circle, I can see that these 3 scenes have been checked off and are denoted as being complete. So no matter which visualization you're looking at, you can always know that your data is up to date. Lastly, there's a context menu item over here on the far right side. If I click this, there's one menu item that says Update Board Dates. In order to properly synchronize your data between this progress report and your board, it's important that the progress report have the same number of shoot dates that your board has. After you've initially created this progress report, if you go back to that board and then add or remove days, you can use this context menu item here, Update Board Dates, to make ThinkCrew go back to your board and reconfirm the number of days that are in this progress report are the same number of days inside of your board. If you have any questions about this or any other topics, email us at this address right here. Hit us up on social media. Don't forget to click like, hit subscribe, and turn on alerts so you don't miss any of our future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap.